Welcome to the Pandemonium Witches podcast, where the ADHD has just a touch of the tism, where the true crime is just as scary as the hauntings and unsolved cases, and the hosts never stay on topic for long. I'm Kat.
I'm Rachel.
I'm Em. And I'm Meg.
We are the Pandemonium. Good morning. Oh crap, it really is
Good
big.
morning.
The whole time we've been on this video for like 6 minutes and I couldn't look at her. You look beautiful, by the way.
Thanks.
And she got a sign that says don't make me poison your food because of a arsenic count. And we got over here. Good morning.
It's already been a morning.
God. I know. Josh had overnight last night and yesterday was a day. The last couple of days have been a day, to be honest. But, whoa, my screen. It went away.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
Try this again?
Try this again, hopefully. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're gonna... The last episode was heavy. We did the West Mesa missing. I did reach out to the Albuquerque Police Department. I have emailed. I have sent every communicado I can. And aside from smoke signals, we don't do that. I have not heard anything back from Detective Lopez. I even spoke to an actual operator, like a full person. Left my name, email, address, like everything so she could contact me, and nothing. So I am sorry. Unfortunately, I cannot. We don't have the detective to speak to. So, I mean, if any of the people who are related to the West Mesa missing and want to reach out to us for comments, we'd be more than happy to talk to them. But at this point, I don't want to discuss a subject that is so wrought with hurt, I guess.
It's still open wounds, so.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we have a great discussion for today for one of our listeners who's also a friend to myself and my husband, Steve. You remember Steve?
Only from stories.
He's so sweet, and I have a lot more cleavage than I thought. I apologize. I'm gonna send you the photos of our conversation, which I'll edit his name and everything out and his picture. But he is from the subject we're discussing today for our Haunted October, which we're gonna call that every October instead of Spooktastic October, because that's racist. So, do you know what we discussed on the West Mesa? I think let's remind our listeners about our hints. I wrote them down.
Okay, good, because I don't remember them. I've slept since then.
Okay, so on the Nanny Doss episode, it's not just about murder. Definitely hauntings will be prevalent. The Kedish murders. There's a top 10 list. It was published in the magazine in 2024. And in the Washington episode, we said for further expansion on topics we covered before, we are discussing the top 10 most haunted states, starting with 10, working our way back, and the top 5 most haunted locations internationally. And that is including Antarctica, South, everything. There is no Bermuda Triangle. I looked into it. It's not particularly too haunted. It's just a lot of anomalies and is scientifically explained away. But let me just send you this. If I can. Aha. So it is from a magazine. It's called movebuddha.com/blog/most haunted states. There's our list for today. So we've already knocked a couple. Oh, before we even start, I've been doing this. We pre-recorded a couple episodes. Do you have your hydration station set up?
I do. Do you?
I have water because I'm a dehydrated houseplant. I've been crying for like 4 days. It's
True.
fine.
Have you taken your meds?
Ooh, I did. I did.
Good.
And
I have too.
it tasted like crap.
Oh, I bet, because you were having to take them with straight water.
It's terrible. I had coffee this morning. I've been up since 6:20. I'm not wearing my signature red glasses today. I bought these glasses and they will not refund them. So I have to wear them. I don't like them. I don't like how they sit on my face. Anyways, you've taken your meds. We both have our
Yes.
hydration stations. Give the POS pod, that's what we're called, apparently. A moment, the party possums, a moment to
Fluffy wishes to sell everyone good morning. She's
oh,
running
good
around like a crackhead.
morning, Fluffy. We'll put a picture in.
One of the many I've sent you.
Okay. So now I know where I need to cut. But anyways, so we're doing the top 10 states, right? We've already knocked a few off this list. But if you guys want to go back to the original episodes to hear the spooky locations, like the Florida episode we did on episode 68, Texas we covered on episode 47 and I think 49 for the Galveston location. And then Alaska was episode 28. We're not going to cover Alaska again because that is it's a big state, but very small towns. So there's not a lot. It's super haunted there, but there's not a lot for us to cover. So that day that we cover Alaska are supposed to cover on the top 10, we're going to discuss something else. But the rest of the top 10 are free game. So you know that means today.
Boy.
That means today we're discussing number 10 on the top 10 list of haunted states. Do you know what that state possibly is?
Missouri?
Missouri.
Ugh. Okay.
Steve's from Missouri. And
Misery. Got it.
Missouri. That comes to play later, I think. No, we discussed that on Janine Jones. Her character in Misery is based off of her.
Yes.
Oh my god!
Road trip. So, known as the Show Me State, Missouri is on the top 10 list of haunted states as number 10, ranking number 10 out of all 50 states. This place came into statehood in 1821, becoming the 24th state of the Union. As of July of 2016, its population is 6,093,000. The capital is Jefferson City. The biggest city is Kansas City. We already know that. The abbreviation is MO. The state bird is a bluebird.
Muted, dear.
The state flower is known as the white hawthorn. My God. And did you know that they have a state insect?
Is it mosquitoes?
No, that would be funny though, but Missouri's north.
It would be.
I
mean, they still have mosquitoes there.
Yeah, but they die in the winter, which is my hope, but it doesn't happen here in Texas. Their state insect is the honeybee.
Well, I like that.
I love that. So Sydney, this episode is fun fact for Sydney, our possum party bee lover. They made their state insect the honeybee to symbolize industry and hard work. This recognition honors the honeybee's crucial role in pollination, agriculture, and the state's ecosystem. This designation also reflects Missouri's agricultural heritage and the economic significance of the honey industry, as they are the top producer of honey in the United States.
Were you good?
I apparently, when I read a lot and my hands, I'm having neuropathy day. I've had one for the last 2 days. My joints hurt a lot. Rachel knows it's hard for me to do anything. So luckily, last night, Frank was in a complete asshole. It's 10 minutes in, so I can swear. He tightened my lid and I just sat there and I started crying. And he's like, "What's wrong?" And he's been calling me half pint for the last month. And I was like, "It's too tight. I can't undo it." And he's like, "Well, where's your husband?" And I was like, "At work." And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And so he untightened it for me.
Well, at least he, loosened it for you. He's not always a complete dick, just
Most
50%
of
of
the
the
time.
time.
Most of the time. It's 80%. Not even 50. It's 80. So Missouri is named that of an American, a Native American tribe. It comes from the word. I know I'm going to butcher this, so we're going to go to Google. There you go. Number one. That's not what I put in there. It auto corrected it to Missouri. Howtopronounce.com. I love this website. You ready? That's pretty.
It really is.
I also put the written pronunciation. We mess surata roughly translates to wooden canoe people and those who have dug out canoes in native. Not everyone agrees how Missouri got its nickname the Show Me State, but the most popular legend says the name was coined when a Missouri congressman said, "I am from Missouri. You've got to show me." And a statement meant that the actions speak louder than words, which it's true. Actions do speak louder than words. Um, Father Jacques Marquette and Louis Jolette were the first Europeans to set foot on Missouri in 1673 while traveling down the Mississippi River. White people. Anyways, Missouri has the largest beer producing plant in the country as it houses the maker of Budweiser beer, the Anheuser-Busch beer. Hannibal.
Is that where they have all the Clydesdales at?
Yep.
Oh, yay!
We get to see them twice or 3 times a year here, and I'll put a picture of me and Josh right here. The Clydesdales were beautiful. I got to pet them. I was very happy because I got to pet a pony, and she goes, "This is not a pony, it's a horse." And I said, "It's a pony. They're all ponies." And the little kid behind me went, "Yeah, she's right. The big pony."
Just like all dogs, no matter what their age, are puppies, and
All puppies.
and cats are all kitties.
It's true. It's true. So Hannibal, Missouri is known as the hometown of Arthur Mark Twain and serves as an inspiration for the fictional town of St. Petersburg in the adventures of Tom Sawyer and the adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which I didn't know about. And I also didn't know that they had a town called Hannibal, which was interesting. The University of Missouri is the first college in the world to grant journalism as a degree, and it opened in September of 1908. It's one of the leading producers of transportation equipment. Yes, it is true. John Deere is on there too. The Mississippi and the Missouri River are the 2 longest rivers of the state. And ice cream cones made from waffles were invented in Missouri at the St. Louis World's Fair in 1904 when an ice cream vendor ran out of cups to supply the ice cream, and the vendor asked the waffle vendor to roll waffles to supply ice cream, and henceforth the waffle cone came into place.
I love that, though.
I do too. This is where our gym teacher is working. The home of barbecue, Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City boasts more than 100 barbecue restaurants offering delicacies of ribs, burnt ends, and pork, and our favorite, brisket. It also hosts one of the greatest barbecue events that you have seen on TLC or on the Home Cooking Network, the American Royal Barbecue. It is a battle of barbecue, and they have a chili cook-off to end all chili cook-offs. From September through November, activities range from barbecue competitions, vendor fairs, kids, fun days, and live music. It's also known as the Cave State, as it has more than 6,000 caves. No, thank you. No, just no. I've seen enough scary movies. And it is a significant for a significant state for German heritage, with many of its towns and cities still preserving their German traditions and architecture. And there's a place out there called Germantown. The Gateway Arch in St. Louis is the tallest man-made monument in the United States. You might have seen it in Percy Jackson, the TV show on Disney Plus. I'll put a little picture.
Nice.
And at 630 feet tall, it is more than twice the height of the statue of Lady Liberty. It is also the first successful hot air balloon ride in North America and the birthplace of pancake mix. The sisters and I have been obsessed with pancakes for the last couple of days. I'll probably make some after this. Missouri is the leading producer of lead and lime, and it's home to the world's largest ball of twine, which is located in Branson. I have stopped there. I did take a picture. I don't think it's in the box anymore. I'll have to look later and see if it is. Kansas City has more than 200 fountains. You would recognize it if you watched Married with Children. The city is only behind Rome in the total number of fountains, and it is also nicknamed the City of Fountains. Other nicknames of Kansas City include Heart of America and America's Creative Crossroads. Fun fact from Stephen. We love you, Stephen. Missouri was the stepping off point to the West. So this is like the straight shot to the Wild West. The LDS Church settled in Independence, Missouri, after they were kicked out of New York. There is a weird ice cream cone shaped LDS church that the members claim that's when Jesus Christ comes again and he will land on top of it. And I went, gross.
Horrified and disgusted. More disgusted than horrified.
Famous people that were born in Missouri are actually a few that I didn't really know about. Like Mark Twain, his original name was Samuel Clemens. George Washington Carver, author T.S. Eliot, Molly Brown from Titanic, that Molly Brown, the unsinkable Molly Brown. What is Fluffy doing?
She's crying, and I'm like, what the fuck are you? I'm in here.
What is she, hungry, never been fed, unloved?
She has 2 full bowls of food. But
is it empty in the middle? Is it empty in the middle? Because she'll think that.
I don't know. She's being chaotic. I don't know.
Good old Fluffy. Molly Brown, the lady from the Titanic known as the unsinkable Molly Brown. Former President Harry Truman. Chuck Berry, the singer. You know who Chuck Berry is?
Yes, I know who Chuck Berry is.
I was going to say, you should. Brad Pitt, Evan Peters, John Hamm, Nelly, the singer Nelly, Sheryl Crow, shout out to our 90s babies, and even my personal favorite on this entire list, John Goodman.
I like that. Long list of celebrities.
Long list of celebrities. My favorite scene with John Goodman is, it was this one with Roseanne. And he's like, don't you know that I love you? Like, is there nothing that I would do for you? And he does the small things. Josh does that. And it's like small things that, you know, he does every day for his wife. And I was like, you're just like him. Kind of cute. Anyways, you guys didn't talk or come on here and request for haunted shit. You wanted history? No, you came here for the haunted crap. So the research I found on every place in Missouri was thanks to Steven. He gave me a couple of little shout outs for that. What is Emily doing? Oh, she sent a picture of her and Amber. They're so cute. She is in Georgia for the day, so she can't come on. And Meg is on a timeout.
It's probably well deserved.
Didn't do anything wrong except burn the candle at both ends, pot, kettle. Anyways, but besides the point, this whole list is not in alphabetical order and it drove me nuts. All right, you ready? Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain.
All right, so the first known thing in Missouri, top tier, it's called Knob Noster, Missouri.
Well, that's certainly a name.
I have clothes thrown around here. I don't really care. Anyways,
Same
so
though.
so a whole freaking town. But this town was known for a ghost story all on its own. Knob Noster is one of those small towns that feels haunted, even if the ghost stories are whispered in verbal tales instead of written down. Um, there's a combination of historic sites, dense forests, foggy nights, and a military base with deep history that gives us its natural eerie atmosphere. So Knob Noster is a small, it sounds like an evil villain.
It
Is a
does.
small it's a small Missouri town. We need oddity draws to draw Knob Noster as a villain. That would be hilarious. It's a small Missouri town close to the Whiteman Air Force Base. As you may not be aware, the word knob is an old term for a hill or a smaller mountain. This is where the town gets its name. This is also where local haunted legends are centered, as it is said at one time there was a hermit who lived up on the hill, avoiding the rest of the town as much as possible. In fact, he had a slave who would run any errands he had in town. The slave was well liked by the townspeople, so when he went missing, they became concerned, especially when the hermit came to town to do his own errands. So, some of the locals asked him about the slave, and he scowled and stormed off, triggering a rumor that he murdered the young man. A few days later, there was a terrible storm, and witnesses saw a lantern moving up the hill just before lightning struck. The following day, the hermit's body was discovered on the hill, his face frozen in absolute terror. To this day, people see the light from the lantern bobbing up and down the hillside on stormy nights. This is one of those times I'm not going to say it's fireflies because they don't live that far north. So there's that part. Do you want to know something else about Knob Noster?
Yes.
There is a state park in Knob Noster, which you and I both know. State parks are riddled with haunted crap. The park is a serene place by day, but some campers and locals have reported hearing disembodied voices early in the morning to late in the night, phantom footsteps, and seeing shadowy figures near trails and creeks. One popular story involves a woman in white.
It's always white. White.
What? Seen wandering the woods, thought to be a grieving spirit from the 1800s. And I did that and I went, gross. Is she still crying?
No, she was trying to get up on the ottoman under the window. So she has a cardboard box that she has to get onto before she can get up there because, she has arthritis in her back legs, so she can't jump very easy. So all I could hear was the cardboard box moving. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And then I saw her actually end up getting up on to the ottoman. I was like, okay.
I think of that audio. Wait for me, I have little legs and a frozen margarita.
Pretty much.
So next we have a very popular spot on the drive. If you're going through Missouri, there are a lot of people who say, yeah, stop here. It's a great photo opportunity. Da, da, da. You've heard of Jesse James, right? I found his story fascinating when I was younger because my dad and my grandpa were obsessed with watching Westerns, especially things about Jesse James. My grandpa called him the American hero. And I was like, no, my grandpa wasn't Russian. That's just, I can't talk like a big old Italian man. So, I mean, you get what you. So Jesse James is like the Robin Hood of like Northwest Missouri. And most.
But he really wasn't. He was just really good looking.
Right. And no, like obnoxiously so. Like, look at the photos. Like, please. I know you know what Jesse James looks like. And I'm not talking about like the actor Jesse James. I'm talking about the actual gunslinger from way back in the day. So it's no shock that the James family farm has seen more than its fair share of violence because it is Jesse James. But I found out that his family farm is haunted, like super haunted, not just kind of haunted. Um, there's ghost activity tied to its violent past, and the land has said to host several lingering spirits and strange lights that have been seen flickering both inside the farmhouse and around the outbuildings. I did look up to see if there were fireflies in that area, and there are not. There are some down southern Missouri, but not most of the state. Visitors and staff alike have reported hearing eerie sounds of the pounding of hooves, distant gunfire, and ghostly cries or screams echoing through the property, echoes of its Civil War era history, because it was site of battles. Even today, unexplained phenomena are a regular occurrence, such as lights are often spotted glowing inside the house long after it's been locked for the night because it is a museum. And shadowy movements are seen that mysteriously fail to trigger the security system because they have motion sensor things. I couldn't think of the word. Staff members describe the feeling of a powerful presence inside the home, intense and undeniable. And on foggy mornings, some claim to hear the soft voices and the sound of restless horses coming from the nearby woods. But when they go to take a look, there's no footprints, no hoof, hoof prints, no movement, just quiet. So, Jesse James died on his farm, right?
Yes, because they never caught him until his farm.
Do you know who else died?
Was it his brother?
His
Frank?
brother, Archie.
He had a brother named Frank, too.
He did. He did. It would be far more surprising if the place were haunted. Jesse and Frank James grew up in the farmhouse under the watchful eye of their mother, Zerelda, which I love that. I've decided I'm going to take it and put it as a villain in my book. She was married 3 times and had 8 children. I'm keeping that for later because I'm going to forget to actually put that name in the book, but it sounds super like villainous, Zerelda. Anyway.
But out of the 8 kids, how many survived to adulthood?
I'm glad you asked. So the property saw its share of blood shed early on, and as a teenager, Jesse was brutally whipped by Union militia during a raid, which his father was on a nearby tree. There it is.
He got entangled with a rope.
He did. He was throat hugged quite aggressively. But the most devastating blow came when Pinkerton detectives attacked the home. Zerelda was gravely injured, losing her right hand, and young Archie was killed in the gunfire. After Jesse was shot and killed, he was laid to rest on the family farm. Zerelda kept close watch over the grave, guarding it fiercely from souvenir hunters and curiosity seekers, along with body snatchers who wanted to actually make sure that Jesse James was dead.
Because there was rumors that he had escaped to like Mexico and Central and South America, like with all of the gunslingers and bank robbers of the Wild West, that nobody knew for sure if they actually died or not.
Well, he was dead. He was dead. And like Steve was like, anytime you want to come and take a look, I was like, I know I want to do an episode for season 2 or season 3 on Jesse James, because he left a wake in his path. Just, if you think that scene from Breaking Dawn Part 1, just bodies.
Right. Like the James gang just
didn't care.
left
Children,
bodies everywhere.
And like, I hate Al Capone. I hate him because he was a womanizer and a philanthropist. He never hurt women or children. That was his thing. Like, he was like,
he made sure they were taken care of in the best ways.
Exactly. Like, one of the people he was rumored to have unalived or murdered, he left like money for that wife and that child because he knew they didn't know anything about his lifestyle or anything that he did.
Right. And so he wanted to make sure that they were taken care of.
And I deep dived on Al Capone when I did the Alcatraz episode. And, Michaela was so sweet. She's like, "Oh my God, these people are horrible. Tell me more." Because I'm sitting on the edge of my seat wondering what these people did. And I was like, "Oh yeah, they were all terrible people, but like Swiss cheese for brains because he had chlamydia." So, you know, that's what happens when you get the clap. I'm sorry. So, anyways, the mother, her children all survived aside from Archie and Jesse. Okay. So there's a lot of history about Frank. I'm not going to go into the rest of the kids because I didn't find a lot on the cursory research that I did, and I did not have access to Steve's library. But open to the public today, the Jesse James Farm gives visitors a glimpse into the lives of Frank and Jesse James, who were raised there. One harrowing story tells of Union soldiers storming the property in search of Frank, which was when he was beaten, and nearly hanging Jesse in the process. Tragedy didn't stop there. Of course, it didn't. Jesse's half brother was killed on the farm when a bomb, not gunfire, but a bum, was hurled by guards hunting the James brother, exploded like in his immediate vicinity. Jesse wasn't anywhere near him. So after Jesse's death, he was originally buried on the property. His mother charged visitors a fee to look at the grave and even let them pocket a pebble or two as a souvenir. His remains were later moved to the Mount Olive Cemetery, which is also haunted, but the energy he left behind seems to have stuck around. They still report hoofbeats, gunshots, whispers, and claim that there are stains that they cannot get out of the wood, which does happen. We talked about that on a couple of episodes about echoing. This next one is known as one of the top 10 places in the entire United States as a haunted house. Legitimate haunted house. I looked it up. Bagel Bites has gone here. We love our beloved bagel hens. Oh, praise and Saint Jesus. Have you heard of the Lemp Mansion?
No.
Let me show you a picture because you're going to remember it.
Waiting for it to go through. It looks pretty.
You remember American Horror Story?
No.
This is what one of the facades of one of the houses looked like. They built it on a sound lot, obviously, but if you go back through episodes, one of the houses that's used as quote unquote, I know one of the character houses or whatever, looks exactly like this. And I was like, oh,
That makes sense. Do we lose our spot?
I have pictures saved, but a lot of the photos do not do it justice from what a couple of my friends who live in that general vicinity say. It is breathtaking. So it's got a lot of history associated with it, which makes it super haunted. So we're only going to be touching on a few key points, but if you guys want us to cover it on its own episode, let us know because we've done that before. Built in the 1860s, it was home of St. Louis brewing tycoons. It later fell into disrepair after being before being restored in 1975. Today it operates as a, you guessed it, Airbnb and a restaurant and a haunted destination. Not an Airbnb, but bed and breakfast. So yes, we can stay there.
I'll just look at it from the outside and walk the property, and I'm good.
You sure? I know Emily would want to stay there.
Like, I wouldn't mind a daytime tour, but that's about it. I'm not staying overnight. Fuck that shit.
So, John Lemp began brewing lager in the 1840s in St. Louis, and the beer's popularity led to a massive brewery expansion, and the brewery thrived until Prohibition came in 1919. The Lemp family was among the richest families in St. Louis, and they moved into the 33-room mansion in the late 1800s. It served as a home and headquarters for their brew business. Patriarch William Lemp Sr. died by suicide in the mansion in 1904.
Oh my god, I realized why this sounds so familiar. I did like a random deep dive one time because it was sparked into like something else, and it wasn't until you mentioned the brewery that my brain was like, "Dong."
Why'd you start a deep dive on this one?
I don't remember. Like it was mentioned maybe in something I was reading, and it just like mentioned it, and I was just like, huh, okay, do curiosity, and then I was just like, oh, okay. Wasn't until you mentioned the brewery and all the deaths and everything that I was just like, hello, this is familiar.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely like I got told by one of my other friends who still lives there. She's like, anytime you want to come visit, we can go there. They have great food. And I was like, no thanks. I'm a walking Ouija board. If my husband's not coming, I'm not going. So he died by a sewer slide in the mansion in 1904, and his son William Jr. took over and then spiraled into decadence. Prohibition crippled the family's wealth and power, and William Jr. and wife Lillian divorced in a public scandal. He later committed suicide in the house in 1922, and his sister Elsa and brother Charles would also die by suicide as well. So Charles unalived his dog and then himself in 1949. We don't condone that. But this next part made me laugh because I was like, why is this a thing? And then I realized it was about somebody with special needs. And I was like, that is horrible. But I laughed because of the name that they named him because it's funny, because it reminds me of a Family Guy episode. The alleged monkey faced boy died in the attic. Monkey face. Like, did he have hair that went like, did he have sideburns for a 6-year-old? Like, I don't, it was a lot for me to process. But then again, I was operating off of delirium and exhaustion. Anyways, so Edwin Lemp, the last surviving family member, died in 1970. So if you know, you know. But if you didn't know, you can stay here overnight, as the Lemp Mansion is now an BB, and it's got a 4-star rating on TripAdvisor, and you can stay at the mansion in St. Louis. They got amazing food and have a great rating on customer service, but the rooms themselves are known for having high quality sheets. But you guys aren't here for Yelp reviews, right?
Again, wouldn't mind going during the day, but not staying overnight.
Are you sure? Because there are unseen footsteps and echoes on the stairs, and
Quite sure.
doors slam shut and lock on their own without explanation or key. Guests also report cold spots and pressure changes in their rooms when the AC is not on. The attic is said to be haunted by Will Jr.'s illegitimate son with Down syndrome. His face is seen in the attic window from the street. Toys left in his room often move or disappear overnight. Ghost hunters have left toys for the illegitimate son of Junior. I read this and I was like, monkey face boy, like thinking it's like a funny, like maybe he has vitiligo or something like that. And they tried to humor it as that because that would be kind of funny if it was vitiligo. It was not vitiligo. And I immediately felt bad. And then Abuela hit me in the back of the head. So, it's fine. Yes, ghosts can touch you and it still hurts. It's more like static electricity than anything. And I hate it. Thanks. I am recording. So anyways, um she's like, "Can I call?" No, not yet. So anyways, known as the mansion's most haunted area is the basement, which has been nicknamed, quote, "the gates of hell," unquote. It was once the entrance to the brewery caves and party rooms. You heard that correctly. I'm going to repeat that. Brewery caves and party rooms.
I mean, the brewery caves probably just it was like the dairy on like farms where it had, spring water going through it so that way it kept it cold and everything. Um because I mean that would make sense.
I mean, that just sounds like a murderous, villainous plot. You know what I mean? But, of course, strange noises are heard from these caves, along with growls and feelings of dread when walking there. A woman once reported a man peeking over the stalls in the bathroom, thought to be Will Jr. The bathroom was once his private suite with a luxury shower. Many have fled in fear after seeing the ghost. They do have a piano in the house. It is not a player piano, but it does play by itself when no one is near. Glasses lift off the bar by themselves and shatter midair. Disembodied voices are often heard near the bar. And in William Sr.'s room, guests hear running footsteps followed by violent door kicks. Not just door kicks, violent door kicks. Reenacts the moment Will Jr. tried to break into his father's room. A heavy atmosphere still lingers in Sr.'s room. But there are also dark, fast-moving figures spotted in stairs and hallway. Staff are reported being followed or touched by unseen hands, and some visitors refuse to enter certain rooms alone or period. Tools vanish during repairs and reappear in strange places. Lights flicker and turn on and off with no electrical cause. Objects are thrown, including silverware, books, and wine glasses. Hoofbeats are heard outside where horses were once tied up on posts. Witnesses look out windows to find nothing there. It happens most often late at night or early in the morning. Feelings of despair, grief, or sudden anxiety overwhelm guests. Some report crying without knowing why. And tour guides say the feelings match the rooms where deaths occurred in the house. William Sr., William Jr., and Elsa have all been seen wandering the grounds, and a woman in lavender, which was Lillian, drifts through the halls. Oh my God, my knuckle just cracked. Finally, I've been trying to crack it for like 10 minutes. The middle one, the one that's always. Anyways, Charles is seen near the basement stairs with a dog, which happens to be the one that he killed. And I put bombastic side eye. Ghost hunters report constant EMF spikes and EVP voices. Many refuse to return after terrifying encounters. The attic and basements are hotspots for documented activity.
I mean, I can't blame them for not wanting to come back after, having basically their shit rattled.
I mean, I don't ever want to go back to the Winchester. Ever. And I lived there. Not in the Winchester, but like 2 blocks away. It'd be great if I could live there because so many rooms.
So many rooms, but I would get confused and I would forget where the fuck I put stuff all the damn time.
Well, Sarah Winchester had to buy like duplicates and triplicates because she would leave them in the same room, have the same dresses and everything like that. Anyways, we're not talking about that today. We're talking about Missouri. So, even with 4-star reviews on TripAdvisor, overnight visits have left in the middle of the night. Just rain out. Reports include, but not limited to, bed shaking, whispers in ears, tugging on clothes, and one guest found all of their packed bags moved into the hallway. All their stuff was unpacked and settled into the room. It was repacked and placed in the hallway.
They did not want you in that room, sir or ma'am.
They said, "You thought. You wrong." So the family line may have ended, but their spirits do linger, and it's believed that the tragedies imprinted on the home permanently. And I put, no thanks, guys, not staying here. Ew. There's also, have you ever seen the movie House on the Hill?
Yes.
You know it's based on the Beatty Mansion?
Is it really? That's slightly terrifying.
Do you want to see what it looks like? It's quite pretty.
Of course.
All right, so I sent you some photos from TripAdvisor. It's in St. Joseph, quickly building up a reputation for being one of the most haunted locations in Missouri. It's a result of being featured on several TV shows. It's not just a gimmick or a slight haunting. This place is truly terrifying. And there
It just looks terrifying.
it is. So like when I was younger, about 2021, I needed to make money. I was doing a couple of odd jobs, but that's when I would say my psychicness, my mediumness was, because I'm a small medium at large, um, was at its peak. I didn't have any filters. I didn't have any way to turn it off 90% of the time. And so you could sign up for programs where they tested you and stuff like that. And you had to go to locations. So they would give you pictures and you got to choose which location you wanted to go to. And it was a study at Stanford. And they showed me this photo and I went, absolutely not. And they went, why? And I was like, no, I'm not telling you why. I don't know why. I am not going. And I went to the Queen Mary a couple of times. I went to a couple of places in California. I stayed pretty much in California and Oregon. I went to one place in Nevada. No, two places in Nevada. But it was a sanatorium, was one of the places in Nevada, and the other one was just a regular hospital. Mm-mm. Nope. Mm-mm. Because I got to use my no card only 5 times. The other ones I had to go to those locations. I'm going to vomit just thinking about this. Anyways, so originally built by Armstrong and Eliza Beatty in 1854, the couple lived there until they died in 1878 and 1880. Eliza and Armstrong didn't have any kids, so the mansion was transferred to the Ladies Union and Benevolence Association. For over 100 years, they looked after the elderly, the homeless, and the people that society couldn't really watch after or care for. It was then used as a group home for the mentally ill and for substance abusers. Eliza Beatty is most frequently sighted on the second floor. She's seen roaming the second floor halls, appearing protective over the house. Visitors often report hearing the sound of her footsteps, even her singing echoing through the corridors. The spirit of 4-year-old Mabel is believed to haunt her upstairs bedroom, and her presence is tied to sounds of laughter and playful activity. Um, Additional childlike activity is often heard in the kitchen and hallway. Voices, laughter, and shadowy movements. Armstrong and Beatty shadows have been seen in the kitchen and in the East Wing. Armstrong's spirit is said to pace the East Wing halls, often whistling as he did so. In the kitchen, both child and adult sized shadow figures have been seen drifting along ceilings and walls. So there is a surly caretaker's spirit that inhabits the basement, sometimes confronting visitors as if guarding the house and his space. Paranormal Road Trip, where I get a ton of my information. Those investigators described a dark male entity down there with disturbing laughter that unnerves and disgusts many.
Yeah, I can imagine so.
Just the sturgeon face anytime I talk about anything. Okay, so workers and guests have experienced disembodied voices, apparitions, moving objects, slamming of doors, especially during restoration attempts in the early 2000s. So, psychic medium Mary Ann Podrasky reported being hugged, choked, and growled at by spirits. She's even seen a figure hanging on the staircase.
No.
When the current owners began renovations back in 2004, it stirred up all kinds of activity that have only intensified over the years.
Well, obviously, because they're pissed.
Right. It's have you ever seen Rose Red? Anytime the contractors weren't working, something happened. So contractors would flee in the middle of work, refusing to return for their tools and finish work. Seasoned paranormal investigators have bolted on numerous occasions, refusing to ever set foot back in the home. Some of the most common paranormal occurrences have include full body apparitions, shadowy figures, poltergeist activity, and disembodied voices. Eyewitness voices. So an eyewitness account, quote from Reddit, visitors have heard noises and voices and things move on their very own. I've witnessed and heard doors slamming and seen apparitions. No thanks. I'm good. Meanwhile, I have to put this in here because we already covered Alcatraz, the Missouri State Penitentiary in Jefferson City. It is it has earned the reputation of one of the most haunted places in America. Missouri, coming in clutch with the most haunted places. Opened in 1836, a standing, formidable location for 168 years. It's been the backdrop to a turbulent history of violence, death, and despair. Known as the bloodiest 47 acres in all of America by Time magazine, its legacy includes notorious riots, harrowing tales of inmate executions, and the whispers of those who met their untimely ends within its walls. There has been heard on death row and the gas chamber where 40 inmates died, and the penitentiary is thick with echoes of stuff that has happened. So some notable people have stayed here, including a very big feminist, Emma Goldman. She was incarcerated from 1917 to 1990. 1919, not 1990. That would make her well over 100 years old. But she stayed there for her activism and opposition to the draft, later becoming the founding figure for movements like Planned Parenthood and the ACLU. Kate Richards O'Hare, she was a pioneering socialist and prison reform advocate. She served time from 1919 to 1920 for anti-war speech and was eventually pardoned by President Wilson. Love that. There was also one of my favorite mobsters and bank robber that I have deep dived on because he was pretty. And his name was Charles Pretty Boy Floyd. He was a Depression era bank robber who was incarcerated from 25 to 28. He gained infamy as public enemy number one by the G-men. Charles Sonny Liston, the boxer, he was arrested for armed robbery and jailed around 1950 to 52, and he discovered boxing in prison. He later became the world heavyweight champion of 62, and he lost 2 years later to Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali. Lee Shelton, better known as Stagger Lee or Stack O-Lee, or simply Stagger Lee. He was an American criminal who became a folk icon after he killed Billy Lyons on Christmas of 1895. James Earl Ray, sentenced there in 1960 for robbery. He famously escaped in 67 by hiding in a bread truck, and he went on to unalive Martin Luther King Jr. in 68. Carl Austin Hall and Bonnie Heady, the couple behind the notorious Bobby Greenlee's kidnapping and murder, were executed together in the penitentiary's gas chamber in 1953. Robert Berdella, who was a serial unaliver and torturer and rapist, was sentenced to life imprisonment here without the right to parole in December of 88 and died in October of 92. Charles Ray Hatcher, a serial unaliver, responsible for 16 schmurders in 12 years. He committed sewer slide by throat hugging himself while incarcerated in 1984. By the way, for people who are just like, what are these terms? Obviously, you haven't been listening to our episode long enough because we've been saying this for a while. Come on, get it together, guys. Also, sippy. Martha Kermit Castro. In 1843, she became the only female inmate in the all-male prison after unaliving her abusive husband. She was later pardoned, prompting calls for a separate women's facility. I can't. So I dislocated this finger like 10, 20 years ago and it's never sat right. So some days when my neuropathy gets too bad, it just locks up and I can't hold it all the way down. Anyways, so paranormal investigators such as our Bagel Bites have added to the haunted reputation because disembodied voices in the cell blocks, unexplained phenomena, things moving. So there are known as dungeon cells in Hall A, and they're hotspots for paranormal activity. Visitors report ghostly crowding, shadow figures, and overwhelming existential dread. Cell 48, in particular, is known for its oppressive presence and captured apparitions. Apparitions have been seen roaming the catwalks, especially a fast blur entity nicknamed Fast Jack, often spotted near the control room where the guards typically were sat. People frequently hear cell doors slamming, objects dropping, and disembodied voices, equipment malfunctions, phantom body odors, you heard that correctly, and cigarette smells that often waft into multiple areas. Did you know that there's a notable paranormal legend?
Did not.
Well, you're about to hear about it. So, the gas chamber and death row are deeply haunted, especially around executions. Visitors report cold spots and ghastly voices, even the presence of executed inmates such as Bonnie Heady and Carl Aston Hall. There's also the hypothermia victim spirit to cause sudden temperature drops and accompanied by screams, whispers, and clanging of metal. Fast Jack is dressed in what looks like to be a white lab coat, has been seen opening and closing the control room doors, often too quickly to trace. Others report female figures in vintage attire, shadowy men in old uniforms, as well as your favorite, children's laughter and a dog's presence in isolated wings.
The fuck is the children doing there?
Well, back in the day in old penitentiaries, because I deep dived on Alcatraz all those years ago, kids could go visit prisons to go visit their families. And it wasn't in like control rooms, like just like that. They could go into like an actual large room and everything, but kids were known to run up and down cell blocks. Not in Alcatraz, they had a controlled room, but for other areas like the one in Texas and the one up in California, they had areas where children could just roam.
I absolutely hate that.
You're welcome. Glad I could facilitate. Ching. Anyways, so from Reddit, because good old Reddit, when I was walking down the stairs, I felt what felt like 5 separate fingers touch my lower back. My friends were in a fight half above me. It was a student walking from the gas chamber. Another one said, we were in the death row section. A shadow figure began to slowly creep out from behind the wall. Such a surreal experience. Next, we have what's known as the Pythian Castle. It is a big tourist attraction known for weddings and its beautiful grandeur and grandiose. It's quite beautiful, and it's seen for a lot of movies that are filmed here in the US that need quote unquote castle outsides.
It's gorgeous.
Absolutely stunning. Just so you can see how truly large it is. It's feckin' huge. So, the Grand Pythian Castle, complete with towers, grand foyer, and elegant ballroom, were designed to be a hospitable place for residents for orphans and the elderly in the 1900s. It was built in 1913 by the Knights of Pythias. It served as a home for meeting place of orphans and elderly widows of the fraternal order. Its imposing exterior is constructed of Carthage stone, which is a regional limestone to the area. I told you earlier, that limestone is huge in that area. So during World War II, the U.S. military seized the property and transformed it into, quote, an enlisted men's service club, end quote, and linked to the nearby O, O'Reilly's Auto Parts General Hospital. It featured recreational spaces like a ballroom, theater, bowling alley, pool hall, and hosted USO shows by stars such as Bob Hope and Groucho Marx. Hold that thought. Hi, what it's like living with the world's smallest bladder. Um, Post-war and later years saw the building serve as the Army Reserve, followed by sale as surplus in 1993. Now privately owned by Tamara Finacharo. I'm really sorry if I butchered that last name. It was renovated and reopened in 2009 as a to 2010 as a public venue hosting history tours, ghost tours, escape rooms, murder mystery dinners, and other events such as weddings. Tamara converted the old orphanage into an event center, hosting everything from weddings to corporate meetings, and she has sent some spirits still lingering around the castle grounds. So I have this nice little review from TripAdvisor. So, such highlights as architectural style, which you know I love, include a grand foyer, ballroom, dormitory style rooms, a theater, and a basement gymnasium. The castle's blend of grandiose and Gothic revival charm mirrors the Knights of the Pantheist charitable donations. There are 362 reviews on TripAdvisor. I would think that it would be less than fabulous, but with 3.8 stars, I dug a little to see what the issue is. Pro, it's an amazing building. That was an enjoyable tour. Presentation was prepared well, easy and safe location to find. A night tour of the castle seems to be the perfect time of day. Con, it was a bit overpriced for the few locations out of the 50 rooms at the castle. It would be much better if the rooms were part of the tour. As for the ghostly residents, none were viewed on this occasion. Guys, this castle is certified haunted by several paranormal groups: Ghost Adventures, Ghost Lab, the Paranormal Task Force, the Ozark Paranormal Society, along with many more. Okay. Ghost Adventures has bagel hands on it. Okay. So visitors and investigators have described classic haunting phenomena like voices, footsteps, cold spots, orbs, objects moving, lights flicker on and off, and batteries that were at 100% to zero. Because it is true, they do leech energy. When I leave the lights on in here, sometimes I'll come home and Frank will just unplug it. He's like, don't do that. Like, why are you doing that? I'm like, please do not take energy from the lights. We have light sockets. Like, please go just drain the source. Anyways, so ghostly voices and EVP activity have been recorded, and there was a German voice on one end saying "ja, ja, ja" in the basement dungeon area, fitting, given that German POWs were once housed here.
Well, okay then.
So a bunch of Yahtzees were there. Another EVP included a ghostly reply, "I perform here," when visitors asked who performs here. Perhaps a nod to the former use as a theater and a club. So the owner, Tamara, has reported being bumped by an unseen presence behind paint drapes. And A visitor recounted being awakened by spirits telling him his dog, who was on the roof, needed help. An eerie blend of foresight and presence, where others have encountered a ghostly figure in army fatigues from the World War II era near them on the stairs. Yeah. Children's voices, unseen shadows of kids, and toys moving by unseen hands. Even a boy who whispered, "Hello," from the second floor dorm area have been reported.
I absolutely hate that.
You're welcome. Glad I could help. Anyways, so basements and a tunnel once used by the orphans and POWs who were housed here are considered deeply haunted. Investigators hear whispering, feeling heaviness or depression, and experienced unexplained physical sensation in those areas. Tamara, who is the owner, estimates about a dozen spirits inhabit the castle, including orphans, elderly residents, and military personnel. Among of all the spirits, there's one aptly named Jeff, who responds when guests call for him, sometimes causing camera batteries to die when he's believed to appear.
I'm Jeff.
My name is Jeff. I still haven't seen that movie, and Josh is like, How? How have you not seen that movie? Listen, there was a lot of.
It's on the list.
So I had a very controlling ex for a lot of years, and my mother, of course. She was just trying to do right by me, but there was a lot that I wasn't allowed to see for 5 years. So I'm catching up on essentially a decade and a half of entertainment. So if you guys have any movies or things that I need to add to my list from, I think I said it was 2024, 2025 to present, that you guys want to tell me to watch, please leave me a comment of movies or TV shows. I've seen Charmed, Buffy. Which other ones have I seen full now? Gilmore Girls, catching up on Leverage, Chicago, all of the Chicago, um, ER. I've seen all of the episodes of ER. Grey's Anatomy, which I sobbed. Thank you, Sydney. Anyways, so a friend of Tamara stayed at the castle when Tamara decided to go out of town. She went out of the country. She warned him ahead of time that the spirits in the castle would try to speak to him. He was like, "Nah, I'm not concerned." And he went about her warning and was excited for the chance to stay in a 100-year-old castle. On his first night, the spirits woke him up. They came to him just like Tamara had told him and shook him out of his sleep, telling him to wake up. They told him that his dog was on the roof and that he had to go to the window to retrieve him. At first, he believed it was Tamara speaking to him, but when he was fully awake, he realized he was alone. No one was there. He got up to look out the window and saw that the dog indeed was on the roof, just as the spirit said. He rushed to get the dog back inside, and the next night he brought someone else to stay in the castle with him. As they were sitting together in the living room, they began hearing strange sounds surround them. It went on for a while before the friend decided they had enough of all the haunted crap, and they were like, "I'm gonna leave." He felt somebody walk past him, and he's like, "That's it, I'm out." Um, Tamara says she often speaks to the spirits in the castle. She believes that they're spirits of the elderly people who had died there, perhaps World War II soldiers who are being treated at the military hospital nearby. She has stated they are real people and some not so real people. They know my name. So she's going to treat them like real people, which I appreciate.
And the spirits appreciated that too.
They really do. Ooh, what is that? Anyways, constructed in 1880, Ravenswood in Bunston. It's been a while since I've done this episode, so you are going to love this because it's got that revival architecture. Rachel's a slut for revival houses, let me tell you.
Listen, I'm a slut for most like
Historical.
historical architecture because The architecture nowadays, like, we went from this to cookie cutter shit. And I'm just like, why?
Well, I mean, you're going to see it and immediately think Adam's Family, because that's what I did. It's absolutely stunning. Okay. Nope, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Unsend. Remove. Unsend. We talk about that in a little bit, so you don't need to see those. Okay. Yeah. Nope, that's wrong. Unsend. Yes, I sent Rachel a bunch of ones and then went, whoops, copy, because
Went too far.
I went too far on the picture list. Okay, so that is Ravenswood. It is a, what did I just do? Oh, okay. I got rid of a window I needed. Anyways, it's fine. So it was constructed in 1880 for Nadine and Charles Leonard. It sits on land whose past structure has been destroyed by fire. The estate spans nearly 2,000 acres, part of a farm established in 1825. It remains in the same family for 7 generations, and it is now added to the National Register of Historic Places as of 1975.
Just keep going.
Okay, you look like the cat ate the canary, but all right. So the Leonards were a couple who loved nothing more than entertaining. They would often string lanterns through the trees and hire an orchestra and invite all of their friends to come and dance. The Ravenswood blends Italian and Second Empire architectural styles, featuring a mansard roof and slate shingles with a low angle top. Large additions were made in 1907 to 1908, 1913, and 1914. It includes many original buildings, including a summer kitchen, which is known as like an outdoor kind of like open. It's more open than normal kitchens. It's not quite like a barbecue pit. So it was built in 1869. Barns for mules, sheep, and milk. Milk are not animals. I think they meant cow. A carriage house, servants' quarters, and manager's house, plus many more other outbuildings. The interior remains remarkably preserved with original furnishings, wallpapers, carpets, and curtains, even personal artifacts. In 1997, a visitor noted the house remains untouched, avoiding the overly staged museum look. And if you look at the previous episodes we've done, you can see with the velvet ropes and everything that's very meticulous. They dust, but it's pretty open. So it's furnished with family treasures, and the 3-story home contains over 30 rooms filled with the original furnishings, clothes, and artifacts found from throughout the world when they traveled. Nadine remained in her home until she died at 90 years old.
Good for her.
I know. And it seems that perhaps her spirit never actually left. After her death, a family servant tried to enter Nadine's room to collect some clothing, only to find the door locked from the inside. Because those were old Victorian knobs. You cannot not
Not.
not lock them on the outside. They had to be locked on the inside, and they had these little tabs that you had to lock them. Tours, once guided by elderly family members, offer a living history experience, which you can sign up for because it is an open museum. Paranormal myths include a broken music box playing unexpectedly, Christmas ornaments tumbling downstairs, not downstairs, like on the floor. No, down the actual stairs. Echoes of music and laughter drifting on the grounds, and reports include of lights turning on and off without explanation, doors closing on their own, and even a suit of armor that appears to shift or move in position. Sounds of music and laughter.
No thanks.
Sounds of music and laughter are heard from outside because they used to have parties outside. And in 2014, a women's paranormal team called Lips investigated for over 10 hours Although no hard evidence was captured, they reported sounds of a phantom record player, objects being knocked over, they were stationary, and apparitions rumored to be the deceased Leonard Anderson. Now, next on our list, I know we're already an hour and a half into this. We're on page 13 of 18. So we only got 5 more pages, not too much. Next is a very important stop on our tour known as the Governor's Mansion. So it's actually where somebody sleeps. People stay here. You. Okay. Commissioned in 1871, it was completed in just 8 months using inmate labor from a nearby penitentiary. The mansion cost approximately $75,000, including furnishing, and officially became the governor's residence in early 1872 under Governor B. Gratz Brown. Preservation efforts were spearheaded by the first ladies, such as Betty Hearns, who restored the original woodwork, uncovered hidden shutters, and repaired the roof and ironwork. Carolyn Bond founded the mansion's preservation nonprofit and launched a docent-led tour starting in the 1970s. The residence has seen vital moments in Missouri history, hosting visitors like Russian Grand Duke Alexis and the King of Hawaii from the 1870s.
Okay, then.
Famously, it was where the surrender outlaw Frank James to Governor Thomas Crittenden happened in 1882. Now, the haunting shit is quite fascinating. The daughter of Governor Thomas Crittenden, Carrie, died in the mansion at age 9 in 1883. She was beloved by staff. Everybody loved her, and including the townspeople. And after Frank James surrendered to her father, she died of diphtheria. The Missouri Children's Fountain was erected in 1996, which commemorates her memory. In 1983, a maintenance worker claimed to see a little girl playing in the attic, just with toys, just sitting there, playing. Only when it was mentioned did the housekeeper reveal that no children lived there, and Carrie had been previously passed away, and she was the only child in residence that had died on the property. Staff recount seeing a child playing in the attic, sometimes mistaken for a contractor's kid or something like that, until they learn that all the modern families that come there have no kids. Tourists and staff have reported unexplained laughter, footsteps in vacant hallways, objects moving on their own, and the mansion was constructed, of course, using inmates from Missouri State Pen. We just talked about it. So it's obviously going to be haunted. Anyways, visitors often hear disembodied voices, footsteps, and paranormal tour groups who have gone through the governor's mansion describe it as a site where a lot of spooky shit happened. And there's weekly tours available in the morning from 10 to noon and from noon 30 to 2. It is closed in November and December to allow the holiday event preparation. That's right, they deck it out for the governor's ball every year. The public is invited to the candlelight tours at the People's House and look for dates in the fall. It is a very prominent house in the area. Next, we have, this is known for one of the biggest things in the Ozarks out there. It looks pretty unassuming, at least from the images that I was able to find. Nope, not what I wanted to open. Come on. This is known as, come on, Smollett's Cave. Town Smollett sprang into existence in the late 1800s, and it had a post office, a general store, and a school. It had a very small but thriving local community in Douglas County, and they suggest that the community may have been named after the first postmaster, known as James Small, or possibly a surgeon, but there's, of course, a lot of talk. The Smollett store wasn't just where people picked up mail, it was a window into the outside world. Residents relied on the store for essentials, news, and the community connection long after public utilities arrived. That's how they got word of mouth out to the other areas. The Smollett Cave legend dates back to the Civil War era. Accordingly, there was a shoemaker, possibly a Union sympathizer, that used the cave in Smollett to secretly craft shoes, only to be beheaded, his tools and shoes left behind as eerie remnants. Families have shared tales of floating or blinking red light moving through the creek and ridges near the cave. One local legend carries a chilling warning: if you ever see a red light, no, you didn't, run.
If you hear something in the woods, no, you didn't.
As that one guy says on TikTok and Facebook, hola, buenas tardes. Hello, good evening. You see something? No, you didn't. The story was documented in the mid 20th century by local writer Daryl Hayden in, quote, The Headless Cobbler of Smollett Cave, tracing its roots among residents like Francis K. Hayden, who passed the tale down through oral tradition. Smollett was a small, close-knit settlement, and it had shops, schools, and gamblers. And storytelling thrived in that area. So, of course, there's been multiple witnesses who have heard a rhythmic tap inside the cave, said to be the phantom shoemaker at work. Sightings include a headless man walking along rural roads or standing with a Bible on his shoulder. Locals like Stephen Sellers recall a mysterious red light that would float near the cave and move through the woods. He said, quote, my grandpa's warning still echoes: if you see a red light, run. Even today, watching the glowing diamond triangle shaped object move across the night, the hair on my back just stood up and still does.
No, thank you. None at all. Not going out at night.
So there has been an account from two women walking near the cave. They reported encountering a headless man holding a Bible. And in another telling, dogs howled in terror, and the men felt unseen rocks pass them in the cave air, suggesting it was being thrown at them from an entity. So the tale's been spanned over 130 years, and locals continue to pass it down through oral heritage. I liked learning about that because I was like, that is so creepy. I love that kind of stuff. But you are going to like this one. I unfortunately was not able to find any recent photos for this particular location, just a few of the older ones. In 1769, Louis Blanchet, a French Canadian and fur trader and explorer, established the first permanent European settlement on the north bank of the Missouri River. He named it Les Petites Côtes, also known as the Little Hills, in reference to the rolling terrain. So in this area, we have the Blanchet House of St. Charles. Operating under the Spanish colonial authority, Blanchet served as the settlement's civil and military leader until his death in 1793. At the site of 906 South Main Street is believed to where Blanchet built his original house, including a trading post and lodging structures adjacent to the small creek. After he passed away, the property was acquired by Peter Kuntz, who either added to the original building or replaced it and possibly built a primitive mill on the creek. I'm not talking about the author, Peter Kuntz, who gave us Bad Santa. I'm talking about, an actual settler. Archaeological digs led by Lindenwood University confirmed a structure existed at this location dating back to Blanchet's era. St. Charles was originally called the Little Hills and later became San Carlos in honor of St. Charles Borromeo, under the Spanish governess, and eventually adopted the English name St. Charles after Louisiana Purchase in 1804. So he is buried in the St. Charles Borromeo Cemetery along his Pawnee wife. Pawnee is a tribe based out of Missouri, and their resting place marked and honored with a historical marker. In 1914, the city designated Blanchet Park in his name, further commemorating his foundational legacy and local heritage. During ghost tours, visitors have detected surges in EMF readers across the street from the house and commonly considered a sign of paranormal presence. But of course, this is what Stephen asked me to cover, the legend of the St. Charles ghost dog. Near the Blanchette House on St. Charles Main Street, ghost tours frequently mention the echoing barks of phantom dogs, said to be the spectral companions no longer of this world. Notably, children and locals claim a ghostly figure of a large black dog walks on Main Street, but eerily, its legs vanish into the street below at about 18 inches, giving it a disembodied floating quality. Interestingly, the apparition is often associated with Lewis and Clark expedition, as dog bones from that era, large enough to warrant a coffin burial, were found beneath what used to be the local cemetery. Some believe the ghost dog is the spectral remnant of that noble companion. St. Charles ghost tours reference restless spirits, shadowy movements, ghostly noises, and even the fleeting scent of, quote, old world smells near the house. It is also purportedly haunted with those ghost dogs, again, adding to the uncanny atmosphere. So far, so good. Nothing too terrible, right?
Not too bad so far.
But wait, there's more.
All right, Billy Mays.
Thespian Hall was constructed between 1855 and 1857 by Boonville Thespian Society, along with contributions from the city government, the Masons, and the Oddfellows, which again, my father was not a Mason, I don't think. We did a whole episode on that. Go back and listen. I can't remember. Anyways, it was designed in Greek revival style, which you and I both adore. And it features a commanding facade, four Doric columns, and it had a reading room in the basement, an auditorium and lecture hall on the main floor, and spaces for city hall and fraternal lodges upstairs. And it opened with a grand ball on July 3rd, 1857. So during the Civil War, it played multiple critical roles, which added to the haunting factor. Served as a barracks, a field hospital, and even, you guessed it, a morgue. So,
I mean, if it's going to be a hospital, there's got to be a morgue attached to it because, people die.
people die. People do die. But this place was a huge, important factor in the community during times of conflict and war. But as entertainment evolved, the venue was modernized in 1901, becoming Stevens Opera House with the addition of a sloped floor and a stage house, orchestra pit, box seats, and a balcony. It pivoted to cinema around 1912 as the Lyric Theater. In 1937, plans to demolish it were halted by preservationists, making Thespian Hall one of Missouri's earliest preserved theaters. Friends of the historic Boonville acquired it in 1975 and restored it to serve as a cultural venue once again. It's one of the oldest venues in all of Allegheny Mountains, and it remains continuous in use since it's open. And it was added to the National Registrar of Historic Places in 1969. Now, we've said it's home to the community theater. They have a lot of arts festivals there. Did you know multiple reports tell of shadowy figures backstage and in the balcony, silent apparitions sometimes spotted peering from behind curtains and lingering near the old stage?
Of course they are.
Staff and performers have described sudden cold spots and unexplained footsteps during rehearsals, along with faint whispers, piano music, and muffled conversations when the building is empty.
Hate it.
You're welcome. Some say you can hear ghostly applause or the creak of floorboards as if an unseen audience is still in their seats. A common apparition said to roam the theater halls wearing a flowing white dress is gliding across the balcony and standing in the wings watching performers with a somber expression. Props mysteriously move or disappear, lights flicker unexpectedly, and electrical equipment malfunctions without cause. Cast and crew have experienced multiple chills and the feeling of being watched during late night rehearsals.
Because, of course, previous stagehands want to make sure you're doing it right and not fucking up their building.
True, but also given the building's use as a Civil War hospital and a morgue, some of the paranormal enthusiasts and investigators believe that the spirits of soldiers still linger. And that's why they peer around curtain corners and everything like that.
That's also true.
So, of course, for any of our people that love horror movies, the like yourself and not me because I get scared at Final Destination movies.
Well, I just refuse to watch them.
So the first one isn't actually the first one. It goes the fifth one and then the first one, and they all kind of go together. I watched part 5. I can watch part 1, no problem, because I've seen it so many times. I think I became desensitized to it. And part 2, perfectly fine. Part 5, never seen it before, but I have a thing about bridges. You know this. I can't look out the window unless I'm driving, going over a bridge. It's a thing. It's a thing. Anyways, this house is known as the, quote, the Exorcist House. That's right. In 1949, a 14-year-old boy, notably known as Roland Doe, its actual name was Ronald Hunkuler, lived in this home on Roanoke Drive when he experienced a series of terrifying phenomena. Loud knocks, furniture moving, objects levitating, and it drew national attention. These events inspired both William Peter Blady's novel The Exorcist and the film adaptation as well. After frightening occurrences following a, quote, Ouija concession, I think that was supposed to say session, connected to his spiritualist aunt, the family sought help. You've said this on numerous occasions, guys. Rachel, what do we tell people?
Messing with shit.
Don't touch Ouija boards. Talk to Ouija boards like myself. So, Jesuit priests performed multiple exorcisms on Roland in St. Louis in locations including the rectory at the St. Louis University and the Alexian Brothers Hospital psych ward. On some accounts say that the rituals work, others say that they didn't work at all. Today, the house remains privately owned and is not open for public visits. Guys, if you want to go by, you can. Do not stop in front of the house. You can take pictures as it's moving, but it's been referenced in popular media as the, quote, real life exorcism, though paranormal claims surrounding it are anecdotal and often unverified. So I did find some paranormal stuff that isn't really like 100% verified, but Reddit. So neighbors and residents have reported unexplained phenomena such as flickering lights, a sense of dread, unexplained noises, and in the 2015 television event called Exorcism Live, a paranormal team attempted to exorcise the house, citing theories that residual demonic presence remained in the structure itself. The local archdiocese strongly condemns such portrayals, emphasizing the seriousness of the exorcism rite. As somebody who was involved in an exorcism, it's hugely, just thinking about it right now gives me goosebumps. It's very spiritual. It is very much like it's a huge event. Oh my God, we're almost at 2 hours. I need to hurry this up. Okay, so residual haunting. Locals and paranormal investigators alike have reported heavy oppressive atmosphere and often describe the feeling of intense dread. That's called depression. Anyways, witnesses have claimed to hear unexplained knocks, footsteps, sounds of furniture scraping. That's called the house is settling. The house is old. Some who have ventured near or inside the property, mostly investigators or curious spectators, report seeing shadowy shapes darting through rooms and peeking around corners, especially near the basement and old attic areas. Paranormal teams have recounted objects shifting or disappearing briefly during investigations, as well as their equipment malfunctioning, classic signs attributed to ghostly activity. During the original case focus on demonic possession, some paranormal enthusiasts suggest that the house is a, quote, hotspot for dark spiritual activity. Guys, come on. And that being said, that is our last stop on the Missouri tour. I wanted to get it through before it hit 1 hour and 45 minutes because I know I'm cutting out like a good 4 minutes, but that was a lot. That was a lot for me to research, not because I didn't find the history fascinating. That was a lot for me to be like, I've been involved in an exorcism. I've been involved in this. I've been involved in that. I hate it.
I hated hearing all about the hauntings.
Yeah, but I do have to say, I love your office.
Oh, thanks.
I wish my office was more against the wall and like my desk was more centralized so I can be closer to the wall, but I got a fat ass, so no. Do you want to talk about what we're talking about for the next episode or just leave it?
Because, surprise them.
Well, we're doing 3 episodes a month, guys, for the whole month of October. I'm trying to bang out these episodes as quickly as I can. It's a lot of work. So if you don't see me posting anything on social media aside from our new episode dropped now, please don't get mad at me. I'm only one person, man.
You're doing the best you can.
I feel like Stuart from Saturday Night Live. Look what I can do.
Look what I can do.
And plus, I started making logos and designs for Tiffany. So, if you guys need logos and designs made, I can do them if you guys need help. Yes, you do have to pay a fee. No, I'm not doing it for free. I did it for free for like 5 people and thinking that they were going to pay me money and they never did. So, you have to pay. Anyways,
we learned lessons.
we do. I have bills to pay. And you guys are probably going to be like, well, just hawk that ring you're wearing. It's $20 from Amazon. We don't have jewelry like that lying around this house. Come on. So anyways, as Emily says, since she can't be here today,
Do the stupidest of shit.
Please don't.
Don't.
Leave Ouija boards alone.
Leave Ouija boards alone. Leave the dead alone. If you're going to these places, observe silence. Please. Don't piss them off like freaking bagel bites.
That's how you get haunted.
That's how you get haunted. Stay feral.
Bite the hand.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, bye.
That's all for this episode. Stay feral, and we'll see you party possums next time.